improves to 7-1, allowing just 3 hits in 7 innings. He is really good. He's got electric stuff.
Man,
If
you're not
people are,
lying about that.
oh my God, if people are looking for a reason for hope, if people feel like, and by the way, he was an Alavila pick, by the way, um, but if the Tigers and their fan base are looking for hope, look at the starting pitching in the form of Troy Melton. Jackson Jobe is an absolute stud. Keeter Montero has been really good. Those three guys can help lead the way without question. I have said time and time again. You looked at I don't know if you watched any of the Dodgers and Cubs yesterday.
I
I
did
did.
watch a little bit of it. Yep.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I couldn't help it. Sorry. I mean, when you lose a staple of your franchise for a long period of time, and he goes someplace else and he makes his debut, I wanted to see how he was going to do. I was interested. You know who else I was interested in? I'm interested in Casey Mize tonight for San Diego.
Yeah,
But
no question about it.
anyway, when you look at it, I was watching that game and they showed the defense behind Scooble and the number of gold gloves behind him. And I thought, man, that is a big deal. You know, for any pitcher, it's a big deal defense. That play Max Clark made in center field last night,
Yep. No one you're talking about.
yeah, really, really impressive. Okay. I saw somebody tweet this out that he covered, according to StatCast, he covered 121 feet and reached an elite speed of 30.1 feet per second to make that sliding catch.
He's playing with a lot different confidence than he looked like he had in spring training. That's for sure. Like with the way he's running out there.
Well, I mean, look, in spring training, correct me if I'm wrong here, he made two misplays. He was in left field, right?
Yep.
Not that it's not that it should matter a whole bunch, but he was in left field. That's number one. And everybody judged him on one game. Literally one game. Would
Yep.
you want to be judged on
That's
one show? Probably not. I've stood by this kid. I've seen him. He's a really good defensive player. I don't think he's as good as Parker Meadows, but he can get there. I told you he's a really good defensive player. I said he's a really good player. Now he struck out 3 times last night. He did get on base, so he's been on base. He was on base 10 of his first 16 plate appearances, which is pretty impressive. But he's a good player. And everybody made it about two things, which I think was so overblown. Chains around his neck and 1 inning of defensive poorness.
Don't forget his social media posts. Those were too much too, apparently, to some people.
Yeah, remind us, please.
Just his post would be like about other stuff besides baseball or whatever, and that was like around
Was
the
it about
time.
money?
Yeah, I mean, I think he had maybe a picture with that or something.
Yeah, I
in
think
there,
it was
or
about
his
money,
girlfriend
yeah.
or whatever, or fiance, whatever. But it was around the time when those videos started to circulate of him making those misplays in the outfield, so people were just all over him
Okay.
because of that too. You know.
Yeah,
So.
whatever. I mean, the social media stuff. Let's get pissed off at somebody for putting up a social media
I can tell you
post.
that he doesn't care.
Because everybody
So
does it. Yeah, he doesn't care. And he
that's what
shouldn't care.
matters. So
He should not care. Now, if the social media posts are all the time and it's a back and forth with fans, to me, it's a waste of space. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of mind space. But I'm not going to hold it against a young kid. This is the way young people are. How's that any worse than a player in the NBA after a win or a loss going into the locker room and scrolling on social media? Because he doesn't post, but he's still paying attention to it. So I'm not sure how much that truly matters. But either way, he made a hell of a play. It's a nice win for Detroit. Riley Green, Cole Keith, Zach McKinstry all collect 3 hits. Green, Torres, and Dingler, back to back, went hit home runs. Torres hit one, and then Dingler hit one. And Dingler's was unbelievable, to be honest with you. I mean, to go down and get that and send it out to right field shows you how much strength and power that dude has. 1.5 back in the wild card. They're just 3 games under 500. And Andy, what did I say a long time ago? I was sticking to it. You asked me, when would you believe? I said, when they get to within 5 games of 500. They're within 3 games of 500. They're $1.50 back in the wild card, and they are only 4.5 back in the division because Cleveland lost and the White Sox were trounced by Boston. And Boston is 24-3 in their last 27 games. That's how good the Red Sox have been, for crying out loud. Here's the concern, slight. Yolber Diaz was called up from Toledo to take the rotational spot of Casey Mize for now. Diaz spent the last 2 years and started this season in Arizona. He pitched in 1 game this season with the Diamondbacks and allowed 7 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Just 4 career major league starts. In Toledo, he started 10 games with a 2.38 ERA, but a 1.5 whip. He makes the start tonight in Seattle. It will be a short leash, and for good reason. I don't expect him to be able to do what Troy Melton did. And Troy Melton is kind of rare air. Since earned runs became an official stat in both leagues, and that was back in 1913. All right? So this is a long, long time. He's the only major league player through his first 16 career games to have a sub-2 ERA, a sub-1 whip, and 13 team wins. Not individual wins, 13 team wins. So when he starts through his first 16 career games, his team, the Tigers, are 13-3. His ERA is under 2, his whip is under 1, and he's the only player in Major League Baseball history since 1913 to do that. Meanwhile, what our big concern going into the season was the offense, and actually it was the defense and the offense. Loved the pitching, but the offense and the defense were concerns. Their offense is suddenly clicking. I don't care that they played the A's. I don't care that they played the Mariners. You know why? Everybody else plays the A's. Everybody else plays the Mariners.
The Mariners are very similar record and same kind of situation as the Tigers right now, it feels like. So.
Yeah, it was very strange how they sold Luis Castillo and they bought on Taylor Ward. Anyway, a little odd. They have struggled mightily because of Josh Naylor's struggles. Obviously, how can you forget Cal Raleigh, who's batting 163, has only, I think, 11 home runs after having 60 a year ago. His slug, Cal Raleigh's slug, is 310. Think about that for a minute. Last year, he was the runner-up in the MVP. His slug was 589. Andy, he had a WAR last year, wins above replacement, 7.3. He's a minus 0.4 this year.
It's like you're watching a completely different player every time he's out there. Do you see the challenge he had last night too on the plate? He tried to challenge a strike. That ball was pretty far outside the zone.
Never seen anything quite like
it. It just seems like he's completely off right now.
And by the way, he's got 12 homers. I said 11. He's got 12 homers after having 60 last year. But Detroit's offense is rolling. We'll tell you how it's rolling when we come back here on X's and Bros as we get rolling on a Wednesday. Ansar Khan of M Live will join us at 8:35 on a Wednesday morning, brought to you by Mitch Wealth.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
The good life isn't about more. It's about making what you have work better. You work hard for your money, so you shouldn't have to work hard to save it. At Meijer, you'll find all the good stuff in one stop with guaranteed fresh produce and Meijer brand faves. Quality so good, we put our name on it. And with M-Perks, you earn rewards to save on what you actually buy. Trust it's worth bringing home and live a life you love. Good life quality at real low prices. Only at Meijer.
We go together.
The Jonas Brothers. The greetings from your hometown encore. The Soaring Eagle Outdoor Concert Series. Special guest, Boys Like Girls. tickets for the Jonas Brothers start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Hang out with the Jonas Brothers and Boys Like Girls August 5th at Soaring Eagle Casino. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Well, he was going to pitch in our rotation regardless, so I don't think you have to add anything to his nights that he pitches. He has the same, motivation. He has the same attitude. He executed. He made big pitches. He got out of a couple of jams that he created himself, and continues to stack up really good innings. So I applaud our guys entirely for being able to just play and see where the night takes you. And tonight we played a really good game, and obviously Troy was a huge part of that by setting a great tone.
There is something to that, is there not? I know people are a little over A.J. Hinch's day-at-a-time belief. They get tired of hearing, we're going to stay where our feet are. We're tough. We've been resilient. I know people kind of roll their eyes at that. He's right, though. I know you don't want to believe that he's right all the time because there's a lot of people who felt like it was time to move on from him. And maybe you still feel that way, by the way. There's plenty of room for that to still be the case in your life. I think he's a very good manager. Doesn't mean he's perfect. No manager is. Dave Roberts has got a lot of rings. Dave Roberts is considered the best manager in baseball. I think Kevin Cash is in that conversation, but Dave Roberts gets a lot of love in that regard. He took Tarek Skubal out yesterday after 85 pitches. Tarek Skubal, in his debut for the Dodgers, gave up 4 hits and 2 runs, struck out 6. Dave Roberts pulled him after 6 innings.
85
Why?
pitches.
That's what I said. Yeah. I said after 85 pitches.
That's the number that just sticks out to me. That's the one that I'm hearing.
Yeah,
again.
51 strikes, 85 pitches, and he pulls him. A.J. Hinch does that, and he has crucified in Detroit. I wouldn't like it either. I mean, trot him back out there for crying out loud. Dave Roberts does it. He's considered one of the smartest guys in baseball. He does it. Not a word, right? So what I've always appreciated about A.J. Hinch is that he doesn't get too high and he doesn't get too low. There's a really good shot of Dusty Baker when he and the Astros won the World Series a few years back. And Baker, after the final out, he records the final out in his book. And then he celebrates. In other words, he's in the moment. He's going to keep doing what he always does. He's in that moment. What A.J. Hinch has tried to do with this team for years is make sure they understand they're going to be fine because you wash away a win and you wash away a loss. You should be no different after either. You can have confidence after victories, but you've got to be able to move beyond it. And as bad as the news was, as confusing for many that you've traded your two best pitchers. Troy Melton's a hell of a pitcher. Casey Mize's been an all-star, led the team in wins a year ago. He's pretty damn good, okay? When you get that supposed return, the number 2 prospect in the Padres system, and you get guys who, contenders who want you, you got to be pretty damn good. So let's just, if it's all right with you, we'll just combine it. You lose your 2 best pitchers. Most would be, woe is me. The front office doesn't believe in us. We're done. We were making a move, but now we're 2 guys short. Who the hell are we going to get to replace them? Maybe we can't do it after all. I'm sure there's a mindset from a lot of fans who felt that way. If fans felt that way from afar, how would you feel like if you're in the trenches every single day?
You'd have to imagine that would make you feel like they don't believe in you. There's no question about that.
Would it not cross your mind at least once, Andy?
Absolutely it would.
Okay. So for them to go out and be undefeated since they traded him, it's a small sample size. I'm not saying this is the way it's going to be the rest of the way. But for them to go out and go undefeated in 4 tries since the loss of Tarek Skubal, if you want.
And I think
And
it's since the
I'm
Baltimore game that they blew, right? Like since the one that like made the decision, apparently.
10-9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what have they outscored? I guess it's 3 since they traded Skubal, not 4. They've outscored the opposition, Andy, 27-6. Okay, and this is a team right now where they've scored 8 runs in each of their last 6 games. That ties a franchise record. The last time that was accomplished, 8 runs or more in 6 consecutive games, was 1927. The Tigers had only been in existence for 26 years the last time that happened. Now, you're going to continue to hear things about what could have been. For example, the Brewers reportedly offered 3 top 100 prospects for Tarek Skubal that included infielder Luis Pena and Jet Williams and a really good outfielder. Tigers wanted young, controllable pitching in the deal. Milwaukee would not include Logan Henderson, their best pitching prospect. You're going to continue to hear stuff like that trickle out because everybody's making a big deal that it was 2 top 100 prospects and so on and so forth. You're going to hear the constant chatter. Don't kid yourself. I'll guarantee you, at least some of the writers from either side, whether it be in Seattle or Detroit, ask some of the players last night in the clubhouse before the game, are you going to watch Tarek Skubal's debut for LA? Guaranteed. Some of them might say the same thing about the debut of Casey Mize for San Diego tonight. So the point is that it is there. May not be as constant as it was before, thank goodness, but it is there. For them to be able to move past that and do what they've done, take care of their business, is pretty impressive. Okay? Jackson Jobe, by the way, is expected to join the Tigers this weekend in San Francisco. And I like the 3 guys that they're going to have. I like 2 of the 3. It took me a while, I'll be honest with you. It took me a while to warm up to Keter Montero. I have always liked Jackson Jobe, even though Alavila got a lot of heat for taking him. All right? And I have always liked Troy Melton. I actually think Jackson Jobe is an ace. I think, we use that term so much. I think he's a top-line pitcher. How's that? I think his stuff is that good. But I remember he was 3rd overall in the 2021 draft. And a lot of people were pissed off because, including yours truly, I wanted Marcelo Mayer. The Red Sox took him right after Jackson Jobe, and Mayer was just traded by Boston, which is interesting. That was the year Henry Davis, the catcher out of Louisville, went 1, and then Jack Leiter went to the Rangers. Leiter helped Vanderbilt win a national championship, in case you were wondering. But I remember saying to myself, holy crap, they've got 2 shortstops from which to choose. It could be Marcelo Mayer or it could be Jordan Lawler. Lawler went to the Diamondbacks at number 6 overall. Mayer went right after Jackson Jobe. Well, guess what? Jackson Jobe, and we'll see this as he moves forward because he's coming back from surgery and he's going to join the team this weekend. He's going to make a start in San Francisco. Otherwise, he's not joining the team. He's a guy who is he's going to prove to be, I think, the right pick. Phenomenal stuff. That is something you can hang your hat on moving forward. Real quick, Lions signed running back Raheem Blackshear. The 27-year-old spent 3 years in Carolina. He only averages 4 yards per carry. Scored 3 touchdowns. Didn't play last year. It's like under the radar and for good reason. But they did sign him. Here's the Mitch Lions Wealth poll question. Andy's already tweeted it out, and I've retweeted it. Finish this statement. I'm rooting for Tarek Skubal in L.A., Casey Mize in San Diego, both or neither. Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. The results come your way tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. Okay, we talked a little baseball, right? A little surprised at the guy who is making his debut tonight, and surprised at the news that broke yesterday. We'll get to that when we come back on X's and Bros here on a Wednesday morning, brought to you by our friend Mitch Lyons and MitchLyonsWealth.com.
Huge here for the Carmody brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Hey, summer's in full swing. You can watch all the Tigers games at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations. Also, the football season will be here before you know it. Lions, Michigan, Michigan State, Central, Western, Eastern, Grand Valley, Ferris, Michigan Tech, Saginaw Valley State, Northwood, and more on all the TVs all season long at all Buffalo Wild Wings in Michigan.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
He looks very comfortable, and obviously this is well, he was going to pitch in our He looks very comfortable, and obviously this is probably the first day that he truly feels like the third deck and the visuals and just the the magnitude that comes with being in the big leagues. It was a comfortable debut for him in Sacramento with the facility and things like that and all the success. But tonight the defense was a difference maker. I know he got on base with a good at bat early, but the defense was a big separator. There wasn't a ball that was going to fall, and it feels like when you turn those tough plays into outs, our whole team responds.
To A.J. Hinch talking about Max Clark in center field. Eventually, Max Clark will be a leadoff guy. Firmly believe he'll be a top-of-the-order guy. Maybe not a leadoff guy. McGonigal will be a top-of-the-order guy. Dingler, Valencia, guys in the middle of the lineup. I got to be honest with you. I'll be very interested to see what they do at first base moving forward. Because I think your outfield looks, from afar, looks like it's going to be Green and left. I would extend him. Somebody asked me that on Twitter yesterday. I would have done that already. I don't know what's taking so long. I had 3 hits last night, homered again last night. He gives you, is it elite defense? Andy, would you say he's an elite defensive left fielder?
I would say so. Yeah,
It's pretty,
in left
if
field,
he's not, he's pretty damn close.
like even the diving play that went off his glove I think it was in Oakland. Like I was shocked when that happened. So it just doesn't happen often with him.
And here's a guy, he's batting 280. He's got an on-base percentage of 37. He's got a slug of 46. He's a 2+ WAR player. Okay. He's got 16 bombs. It's not 24 like Dingler. It's not 20 like Torkelson, but he's got better average and a lot of other things. He leads the team. No, Dingler leads the team in total bases. He's driven in 54 runs. I don't know what more you could possibly want. I know people get caught up in how he runs. All right, whatever. There's a lot of guys out there who it's strange how they stand in the batter's box. It's strange how some guys used to throw. Phillip Rivers throwing the football in the National Football League seemed odd. You're not going to keep him because he's a really good player because of that? So he doesn't throw like Dan Marino? He doesn't throw like John Elway? There's no Joe Montana in him? Still gets the job done, right?
Oh, he definitely got the job done. There's no question about that.
You're not getting the perfect player in every single position. I would have extended him. But if you got Green there, you got Max Clark in center. Who knows? Maybe it's Zaire Hope in right. I don't know. It's an all left-handed hitting outfield, which might concern me a little bit. You've got McGonigal, of course, and you've got others that are ready to ascend. Okay, Max Anderson, a lot of people like How You Lee. It'll be obviously Dylan Dingler behind the dish. You can see the youth and the talent that is moving in to the various positions. First base will be an interesting one. Taylon Bronzo down in the minors. If Valencia swings the bat the way he has at the major league level, it's not a huge sample size, but if he continues to do as well as he has done so far, you've got to find a way to get him more at bats, right? I'm not saying he's going to bat 452 for his career. That's ridiculous, okay? He's only played or only had 31 at bats. So it's way too early. But it is interesting what they may do at first base with a talented offensive player like that, and Lorenzo as well, and Cole Keith, of course, another left-handed hitter. So you can see that. But Max Clark, I think what A.J. Hinch brought up there is a very interesting point. And that is, did you hear him say the third deck? Do you know what he's referring to there? Here's what he's referring to. When you're playing center field, you're looking in to home plate. How many decks are there at the major league level? There's 3.
3. Okay.
It's not in the minors. It's nothing like that. He's playing
Wow,
at
that's
Erie. You've got 1 deck. You're playing at Toledo. You're in center field. What are you looking at? You're looking at 1 deck and then a press box. In the majors, how do you get 40,000 people in there? You're looking at multiple decks. All right? You have to find the baseball. So when you're looking up at a 3rd deck, and he's referring to at least 2 and then a press box, that's a different eyesight than it would be at the minor leagues.
Makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to me. I've just never heard it phrased that way. That's a new one for me.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So AJ Hinch with that description helping Max Clark, helping us understand it as well. There's a lot of things that go into playing in the outfield, obviously. You've got to figure out the wall. You've got to figure out the wind. You've got to figure out the alleys. You've got to figure out the communication with fellow outfielders, where the ball is tailing, all those other things, and then who's on what base, how fast are they, where you're going with the baseball. But locating it is first and foremost, and sometimes it can be challenging when you're in a major league ballpark if you weren't used to those major league ballparks. That's why a lot of guys go out early. Do you think they take fly balls just for the sake of taking fly balls? Do you think they're in the outfield fielding batting practice just for the sake of chumming around with one another? And no, they're getting used to the surroundings. They're getting used to, the first time they were playing in Sacramento, they're getting used to all that stuff. It was easier for Max Clark in Sacramento because it's a minor league stadium. Now in a major league stadium, you got to look around and you're like, okay, I got to get used to this. That's what made that catch even more impressive than anything else. All right? So just a quick FYI there. Here's what surprised me, what I read yesterday. According to Bob Nightingale, Casey Mize said the Tigers never approached him about a contract extension. Why would that be?
You're asking the wrong guy because I would have definitely approached him about a contract.
How much is he going to make?
That's a good question.
When he's a free agent after this year. I don't know how San Diego's going to attack it. I would think when you give up your number 2 prospect, you're at least thinking about keeping him long term if he plays well, right? And he's been really good over the last 2.5 years. He's been really good. So I'm not saying it justifies his number 1 overall status, because a lot of people feel like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. I immediately say to them, who would you have wanted? They can't answer that question, okay? Because he was the first overall pick in 2018. When I asked them, hey, would you have taken Joey Bart? Who? Would you have taken Alec Boehm? No. Would you have taken Nick Madrigal? Because he was taken by the White Sox. Maybe Jonathan India. Either way, the point remains. Casey Mize has been very good over the last 2.5 seasons. Last year, he had 28 starts. He was an all-star. The year before, he had just 20 starts and was injured a little bit. But second half of the season or whatever, from 2 years ago, this is a guy who's been, I think a pretty steady player, okay? He's not super great at 27 and 31 all time. He's not like you're writing home, I can't believe we got this guy with a career ERA of just under 4, but he has been pretty good over the last year and a half, this year and last year.
Yeah, you feel like you finally got him to the point where you want him to kind of be at. I mean, maybe he's not the number 1 ace in your rotation like you thought he could be when you drafted him, but he's definitely at a point now where he's a major league pitcher that you want on your team.
He's a top-end rotation guy.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. I think he's right there.
On most teams, I would say on most teams, he's probably, on really good teams, he's probably the number 3.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're going to rake them. So that's, if you're looking at 6 starters or 5 starters, he's close to being a top-end rotation guy.
And maybe the Tigers.
How much do you think he's going to make?
That's the question. I think maybe they're thinking ahead that it's going to be too much, but you would think either way you would approach him with whatever offer you are willing to give him at some point, right?
So he makes $6 million this year. Next year,
you gotta imagine it goes up to maybe like 18, 19, 20.
I would guess it starts with a 2 in front of it.
Yeah, that's what I would think too.
Okay, so I would guess it's a 2 in front of it, and if I unfortunately use this example all the time, where I refer to Jack Flaherty. If Jack Flaherty is going to make $20-25 million, Casey Mize has got a legitimate comparison.
Absolutely.
Okay, So maybe that's what the Tigers felt. Or maybe they felt this at some point. Maybe they're like, you know what? As good as he's been recently, there's only been twice in his career. It's not going to happen this year. Twice in his career where he started over 28 games. He started 28 a year ago. He started 30 his second year in the league. And he was 7-9 that year. You want your starters to at least be available. And now the first year you can wipe away, okay, because it's really not fair. But in 2022, only 2 starts. Missed all of 2023 with an injury. Came back, made 20 starts, 28, and he's made 16 this year. Maybe they just didn't feel like he was reliable enough. You look at the back of his baseball card, and A.J. Hinch used to say that all the time. Look at the back of the baseball card. You could understand why there would be some, at least trepidation. Is that fair? I hope so.
Yeah.
But I did find it interesting that they didn't even approach him. Like, even if you went to him and say, hey, we're $18 million would be a pretty good deal.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you would have to go to at least offer him something. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Obviously, they feel like that money can be spent elsewhere.
Okay? It has to be it. Like, they have no value, it feels like, in Casey Mize if you're not doing that.
But it made me think, this team next year, you'll probably sign a free agent as a pitcher. All these guys that you've acquired from L.A. and San Diego, it's not like they're going to be thrust into the situation right away. All right? So let's just say, for sake of argument, next year, your rotation is Melton and Job and Valdez and Montero and River Ryan, who's expected to start in September. How do you feel about that starting 5? Maybe they just didn't see the need for Mize. Fair enough. Okay? So that was the thought, but I'm a little surprised that they didn't even approach him about any type of opportunity like that. You can text us, Sports Radio 21000, and you can also give us a call on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. You and I both watched Skubal pitch last night. He struck out Pete Crow Armstrong at 99 on the outer edge in the first batter he faced. Also gave up a Dansby Swanson solo homer. Took the loss in a Dodgers 5-1 loss. Dodgers have actually lost 5 in a row. For the first time this year, they've lost 5 in a row. Oh my gosh, start to panic. I mean, that's the way it was in Detroit. The panic of 5 straight losses. There's margins for error. That's why. Okay, the Dodgers at 69-45 no longer have the best record in baseball. That's the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are 70-43. So the Dodgers have lost 5 in a row. All right, things are getting more and more talked about on which teams should be the favorite, which teams are really good. Look at what Houston has done in the West. They've overtaken Texas, actually 2.5 up on Texas. They've won 8 of their last 10. They added at the deadline. They look to be a pretty scary team. Meanwhile, Cleveland is tanking. They've lost 7 of their last 10, and they are just 500. They're a 500 baseball team right now. Tampa, still playing well. They're at 67 wins. The Yankees, despite the losses of Stanton and Judge and Bellinger, are playing well. All right? And earlier this year, Cole and Rodon. And yet they're playing well. They're only 3.5 back of Tampa. It's obviously wide open. Really good stuff in all of baseball. But when you look at Skubal last night, and if you watch Mize tonight, are you rooting for them? Or are you so disenchanted with how that has all gone down, in addition to what Skubal recently said in Los Angeles? Remember what he said. I don't hold it against the Dodgers. I don't either, by the way. I am so tired of hearing about how the Dodgers are ruining baseball. You didn't feel that way 3 years ago. You feel that way because they've won back-to-back games, and they're trying to become the first National League team in history to win 3 straight World Series titles. And because they've got the payroll. And they've got the superstars. They've got Freddie Freeman. They've got Mookie Betts. They've got Will Smith. They've got Max Muncy. I get all that. They just do it better than everybody else, you guys. They traded for Tarek Skubal. They didn't force the Tigers to trade for Tarek Skubal. Tigers could have traded with the Brewers. Other teams had a chance to put a package together to get Tarek Skubal, and they didn't. Or at least not according to Scott Harris. Scott Harris knew what he wanted out of the Dodgers. He got what he wanted out of the Dodgers. He got an eventual starting outfielder in Zaire Hope, and he got 2 young arms. Although River Ryan's going to turn 28 next week. That's not the Dodgers' fault. Oh, it's their fault because they've got all the different resources in their minor leagues? How about this? Draft better and trade better. It's not like every guy they got rid of at the trade deadline, they drafted. Some of them they acquired through other trades and then parlayed that player into a better player or an established player like Tarek Skubal. Why not do that? Why are teams, why are fan bases so upset at that? It's strictly jealousy. And I'm a little confused at why people feel that way. I get why you wouldn't be I get why you'd be upset that your team didn't do it. But just because another team does it really well, I mean, if that were your club, you'd be 2 thumbs up and telling everybody, hey, what can I tell you? River Ryan was not a Dodger. River Ryan was a San Diego Padre. That's who drafted him. They used him in a deal, okay, for Matt Beattie. He was traded to the Dodgers in 2022 for Matt Beattie. The Dodgers then turn around 3 years later and trade him for Tarek Skubal. How is that LA's fault? Anyway, I'm just wondering because Tarek Skubal was defending the Dodgers, and for good reason. They do everything right. And I know people get tired of the prettiest girl in the room always getting A's and getting the quarterback and all this other stuff, right? So there's a little bit of jealousy there. But are you rooting for Tarek Skubal for the Dodgers? Are you rooting for Casey Mize with the Padres? Or are you hoping that somebody else sticks it to him because they left your team, even though they, quote unquote, wanted to stay, and that your team never gave them the extension that they expected? Casey Mize, according to Bob Nightingale, was not approached, and Tarek Skubal, according to The Athletic, was offered, after his first Cy Young, a 4-year, $75 million extension.
I feel like a lot of people will read, deeper into it with the Tarek Skubal stuff, thinking that he wanted to get out on his own at some point or test free agency at some point on his own. I think with what people see on social media, that's why they won't root for him as much. I feel like people will root for Casey Mize. I don't know. It's just
if you were Tarek Skubal, would you not want to test free agency?
I don't know why you wouldn't. This isn't coming from me. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here of being like
you're right.
The person that looks at social media and like sees everything you see every day when you open your phone. It's definitely been a lot of negative stuff towards Tarek Skubal, it feels like, from the Tigers fan base. I feel like.
Yeah, there are some things that are a little confusing for me. So, for example, yesterday, John Heyman did say that Emmett Sheehan was discussed as part of the Dodgers deal and then was somehow removed from that. Maybe the Tigers just didn't want him. He's a guy who could literally take a start. Like, you wouldn't have to worry about what you've got going tonight in Seattle. And the way they're playing, maybe it doesn't matter. But you wouldn't have to worry about calling up Yolbert Diaz, for crying out loud. But there are some strange things. But, yeah, I think you're right about that. So many people didn't want him to go because they said he wanted to be here. And then as it continued, more and more people seem to adopt the theory that, yes, he actually does want to leave because he wants to test free agency.
And knowing about the injury in January, that thing really turned people the wrong way a lot, too.
Exactly right. If I'm the player, I'm testing free agency, too. And I think 100% of the people would do the same thing. Quick timeout. We'll dive into some football and a very good question from one of our viewers/listeners coming up.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. Just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements, this center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Get ready for the hottest Saturdays of the summer at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Now through August, we're dropping over $1 million in free play. Every hour from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 10 winners score $600 in free play. $1 Million Summer is back, so don't miss your shot at big summer wins. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Andy got in a little bit of a confrontation yesterday. I'm going to dive into some football here.
Confrontation.
Well, I was at the gym.
Okay.
I try to go to the gym every day. I've got to, and I got to peel it back a little bit. My back is freaking killing me.
That's not good for the golf swing either, man.
I did back
It's going
yesterday.
to make it tough.
Actually, you should go to the gym. You got to work on your core to get the rotation. Okay, it's not helping me drive the ball any further. But anyway, I've got to be able to reach back and find more flexibility. I need to do more flexible exercises at the gym instead of just lugging around iron. That's what I've got to do. But anyway, so I'm working out and I'm listening to my music. Whole Lot of Rosie by AC/DC, which is a phenomenal song if you ever listen to it. Bon Scott on lead vocals. And our gym, everywhere it shows, please be courteous, no cell phones. They don't want people talking on their phones on the gym floor, on the treadmills, or on the ellipticals or anything like that. We don't need to hear conversations, right? I mean, there's a nice little area up there where you can just walk up the stairs and go and talk. So I'm lifting, and I play my music loud, and like I said, it's heavy metal, rock and roll, and I can hear this woman literally on a speaker talking on her phone. So I said to her, excuse me, you're really loud. Can you keep it down? I didn't say get out of here, go up to. Anyway, she kept on. So I looked at her and I just motioned, hey, I can hear you. She comes over afterwards, and there was another woman in the area, and she said to me, thank you. She said, thank you for saying something, because it's distracting. She doesn't wear headphones. I don't know how you can't listen to music.
I could never work out without wearing headphones.
I couldn't either. It's horrible. Anyway, so the woman comes over, she says, I'm sorry, but you don't have to be so rude. And I said, I'm sorry. How was I rude? She said, you don't have to tell me from afar that I'm being too loud. You could come up to me and say something and whisper it to me. I said, oh, so just so I'm clear, you want me to stop in the middle of my routine and come over and tell you? She said, you could make a hand gesture. I said, I did. I went, you're too loud. She said, I deserve respect. I'm an adult, And I said, I think all the people in this area are adults and deserve respect, too, of not having to listen to your conversation. I said, you're literally 25 steps away. That's all you have to do. I didn't lose my temper. There's no sense in doing that. It's not nice and it's not professional. But, I don't understand why you just can't. How am I the bad guy when you're breaking the rule?
I I said I wanted to be a fly on the wall for the Dylan Larkin situation. I think I changed what I wanted to be a fly on the wall for. I think I wanted to be a fly on the wall for this situation. I needed to see this in person.
Yeah. She said, I am so offended. And I went, wow, you're offended by just a conversation that says, I'm sorry, you're in the wrong here?
Clearly embarrassed probably at that point about just being that loud and then didn't know how to react to it.
It
seems
probably.
like to me, but
it's just very, very strange.
Yeah, no, that's
very soft.
I
thought to myself, your kids must be really soft.
To me, that's a tough one to I give you credit for even bringing it up because I've been annoyed before and not said anything and it's then bugged me the entire day after that. So
yeah, and I've said it to guys before and they've come up and they've said, look, man, I'm sorry. One guy got upset. He said to me one time, he says, what's your problem? I said, I don't have a problem. You're just really loud. I can hear your conversation over my music. And it'd be nice if you just walked over there. That's all. I'm not being confrontational. I'm just asking. People they want to be able to do whatever they want.
Yep. That's the truth of it.
And that's really frustrating. If I get a phone call, I walk away from my set and I go up and I take it up there. I don't want to intrude on people's, workout routine. Nobody needs to hear the problems you're having with your adult son. They just don't. Via text, Shep, a dream scenario would be a playoff game of Mize versus Scoobel and a World Series game of Mize or Scoobel versus Melton. Ooh, now that would be tantalizing. Who has more pitching wins the rest of the season, Melton or Scoobel? I would guess Scoobel. just because the Dodgers are a better team.
I believe
I know
that-
they've lost 5 in a row.
I
but
believe
still.
that I saw that the 28th, I think it was, of August is technically Terry Schubal's scheduled to start right now. Obviously
Against Detroit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Things can obviously change.
What kind of ovation? We'll talk about this.
Oh
as it
man,
gets closer.
it's gonna be something. That's for sure.
Do you think he'll get a standing ovation?
Gosh, that's tough.
Got a standing ovation.
That
when
is
he
a
left.
tough one. Like with Larkin, I can tell you what he's gonna get. If he were still in the uniform or not in the uniform, but I think
he'll
he
get a
gets an
standing
ovation. Yeah, I think people clap. He did too much here. He won 2 Cy Youngs here.
Yeah, people aren't going to be that jaded.
No,
think
I don't think so either. Honestly, it'd be ridiculous if they booed him. Like
Shep,
once the game starts, a different story. You do whatever you want.
Oh,
in my
for sure.
opinion, but
Dead on. But you at least acknowledge the person who
yes,
was there.
absolutely. Yeah.
You start. It turns quickly where you start rooting against him. Hi, Matt Stafford. Right. Shep, both Mize and Scooble, probably not Scooble, have a big chance to help their contract with great playoffs, unlike Duran. I believe Mize gets 6 years, $156 million. Whoever gets him will be lucky. Okay. I'm not sure where you get the 156, but that's fine. You're talking about $26 million a year. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that's too high. I think he gets closer to 20, 21, something like that. But either way, I think you're in the 20s. Yeah. Shep, could you see Scooble hurting his contract with a terrible playoffs? No. I don't think this is a Jalen Duren situation. There's too much on his resume. Shep, this offseason, really hope to see that Scott Harris finally makes a flurry of trades to make this team more his. Use the example of the 84 team in trades. How can fans hate LA? All fans here want is a great farm system. LA does have that. The 84 references are inevitable. But you're right. They traded a farmhand in Steve Kemp for Chet Lemon. They signed Darrell Evans. They traded for Willie Hernandez and Dave Bergman. They got rid of Glenn Wilson in a deal like that, who was a farmhand. So I understand why you would use that as a comparison. The question is, who's the right fit for this team more than anything else? That's what you have to ask yourself. And that's going to take more investigative situations from everybody to do that. I saw something yesterday that was, I think, irresponsible. Zay Flowers, the Ravens wide receiver, agreed to a 4-year, $140 million contract with $35 million average. 108 of the 140 is guaranteed. So we mentioned, because on our show yesterday, breaking news was that Bijan Robinson signed an extension for the Atlanta Falcons, which immediately makes us as Lions fans think, when is the Jahmyr Gibbs shoe going to drop? And it should drop sometime soon. I would hope, because they've probably had the parameters of such a deal, I would hope it would drop before week's end. Today's Wednesday. I'd be surprised if it's not done by Friday or Saturday. Whatever, okay? Anyway, now Zay Flowers, his average of 35, ties Justin Jefferson for fourth at the position. He's behind Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jamar Chase, Drake London. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Offensive Player of the Year. Jamar Chase, widely viewed, even at age 26, the best wide receiver in the game. Drake London, then Justin Jefferson, and Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, going into this season, is going to make more than CeeDee Lamb, more than DK Metcalf, more than Garrett Wilson, more than A.J. Brown, and more than Amon-Ra St. Brown. It wasn't long ago when Amon-Ra St. Brown signed that contract for $120 million total value, $30 million a year, $77 million guaranteed, that everybody was up in arms and saying it was ridiculous what Brad Holmes just did. How do you feel now? after what Baltimore just did, supposedly a well-run organization with Zay Flowers. We're brought to you this hour by Meyer.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, 2 world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan
I've
masterpiece.
been in the minority here.
Big shows at Soaring Eagle. Aaron Church.
I don't think he's
Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride.
I want my quarterback to be able to throw
Part
the
of the
football.
Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series.
I never thought he was a great thrower. He's got better.
Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com.
But
The party starts with Aaron Church plus Ashley McBride.
Yeah, he's more of a tight end guy in
At
front of
Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
The good life isn't about more. It's about making what you have work better. You
I'll
work
be
hard
right
for
back.
your money, so you shouldn't have to work hard to save it. At Meyer, you'll find all the good stuff in one stop with guaranteed fresh produce and Meyer brand faves. Quality so good, we put our name on it. And with M-Perks, you earn rewards to save on what you actually buy. Trust is worth bringing home and live a life you love. Good life quality at real low prices. Only at Meyer.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
so frustrated. It's unreal. I put out, we get a lot of woodpeckers in our area. I put out a suet in it's a double-sided cage for the woodpeckers to kind of chip away at.
I'm learning a lot of stuff today. I love it.
I have a different source of food. Twice in the last week, the entire thing has been carried off by some type of animal. Could be deer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it could be squirrels.
They're taking
know.
the whole feeder out of the ground.
The whole cage. Taking the whole cage.
That's insane.
Yeah. My wife thinks it's deer because we have these like pylon things on the pole that squirrels can't climb on. They slip off. So she thinks it's deer, which could be the case because I put some tasty little suet in there. Sometimes it's blueberry, sometimes it's cherry, sometimes it's peanut butter.
Oh, the deer deer love to eat food like that's you know, for other animals for sure. Carrying away that's crazy if they carry away the whole cage. I'd love to see where they're bringing it. Yeah.
Can't find it anywhere. I don't know what to do now because they think it's just a smorgasbord.
So this is just
hey guys,
like one of those.
Let's all go over to Old Country Buffet. It's the same thing as the Shepard resident. That's what it is.
Is this one of those things that's like stuck in the ground then, and like it like?
So the pole's in the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. Picture a black S hook almost.
Yep.
In the ground.
Yep. I can see one of those.
And there's like a cone, a metal cone, that's below the feeding area because otherwise squirrels will be able to climb the pole and they can't, unless I put Vaseline on the pole. And then hanging from the hook is the double-sided cage suet holder.
Okay, and they're just taking away the holder.
They're taking away the holder that's housing the food.
Okay,
inside.
so they're taking away that makes a little more sense. I thought they were taking away the whole pole for a second. I was like,
yeah, no, they're not doing that.
I was like, they're
no.
really getting in there. But yes, I mean, I don't know,
so
man.
what do you do?
That's a tough situation. Maybe it's a raccoon or something that's getting up there and taking it too. It's possible. I mean,
I suppose it's possible. We get a lot of deer in our backyard. We've got a lot of woods and trees and roughage. So
that was one thing I was gonna say is like I don't know. My grandpa used to trap and release all the time with like raccoons and stuff like that. If it's not a deer, obviously you can't trap a deer and release it. But if it was something else like that was smaller, he's done those cages and then just brought them. You know, I don't know how many miles away just to get him on his property. Yeah,
that's a good thought. Anyway, very frustrating for me. Yet, so we mentioned just a moment ago about Zay Flowers. How many this guy's been in the league for 3 years. Okay? He's been a Baltimore Raven for 3 years. Where he went to school, Boston College, where he was drafted, first round, 2023 draft, 22nd overall, should not matter. Do you know who the first overall pick was in 2023? In his draft. Give me the first overall pick and who the Lions took.
I'm just guessing that it's a quarterback, probably. But I don't
So you're right. It was Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
He was drafted
first.
Draft. Okay. And the Lions chose, ironically enough, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay. Yep. Didn't they trade up for that pick too?
They did.
Yep.
Who's been more productive as a player? Jahmyr Gibbs.
We don't even need to say the other option, really.
Right. Or Zay Flowers.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs has got 39 touchdowns. Zay Flowers, who was taken behind Jack Campbell as well. How many touchdowns do you think he has?
15.
He has 14 career touchdowns.
That's insane.
Right. So Jahmyr Gibbs, when I said 39, that's rushing. He's got another 10 receiving. 49 touchdowns. And Zay Flowers has 14.
10 receiving. I mean, maybe Zay Flowers has run 1 or 2 in, but that's almost as many receiving touchdowns as he has.
I know. Everyone's going to compare this to, and I did it too, to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And because they're the two highest paid receivers on their team. Okay? You know who you ought to look at? You ought to look at Jamison Williams, is what you really ought to do. And the reason I say that is because if you're Jamison Williams, not that I'm proposing this by any stretch, all right? Because he's been a really good player. He's been better than I thought. I give him a ton of credit for the how he's grown. How's that? Jamison Williams and Zay Flowers. If you looked at Jamison Williams' numbers Zay Flowers in 3 years has 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons. And in 3 years, he's had 14 touchdowns. Jamison Williams has had, in 4 years, 2 1,000-yard seasons and 17 touchdowns. And you could argue he's played with, it's not by much, an inferior quarterback. I mean, everybody, when Lamar Jackson's a two-time MVP, I mean, come on, right? I like Jared Goff. I'd take him on my team any single day of the week. But if people were ranking the quarterbacks, that's what you would notice. Well, now Zay Flowers is going to make $35 million a year. Again, tied with Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's going to be shaking his head like, are you effing kidding me? Zay Flowers and me on the same dotted line? Well, if you look at Jamison Williams, he's making 25 or 26 and a half. So he's going to make $10 million roughly. He's going to make $8.5 million less. And if you're looking at total value, the total value for Jamison Williams is $80 million. Zay Flowers is $140 million. Zay Flowers guaranteed is $108, and Jamison Williams' guarantee is $66. Like it's not even close with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You put the numbers up there, and you can use numbers associated with these two types of players, considering the organizations they're playing for and the quarterbacks they're playing with. All right? Let's just say all things are level, Jackson and Goff. If Lamar Jackson has Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams, do you think he's using them as much as he's using Zay Flowers? He's using them more.
I was going to say probably more would be my
a hell of
answer
a
to
lot
that.
more.
Yeah.
Okay. They're better. They're better wide receivers, period. And don't give me this, well, the offensive coordinator. Todd Monken left Baltimore. He's now a head coach. Detroit last year had John Morton. And look at the numbers that were put up. I know John Morton was relieved of his duties, but you understand my point. Jamison Williams still had over 1,100 yards, you guys. He still had 7 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown was still an all-pro. He still had, look at his season, look at the numbers. 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. Like everybody talks about, oh my God, Ben Johnson this and Ben Johnson that. Last year, Amon-Ra St. Brown had his second most productive touchdown season and his second most productive receiving season, for what that's worth. This is, it's all about timing, right? We talk about timing in everybody's business. When is the right time? Are you in the right place at the right time? All this other stuff. Zay Flowers, right time, right place. How many other wide receivers are going, wow, I can't believe he just inked that type of deal? Maybe guys who have yet to sign extensions, because this is going to be used as the base, right? When somebody comes up, when somebody wants more money, when Devontae Smith of the Eagles wants more money, he's going to use Zay Flowers as an example, and rightfully so. Just like anybody who's pitching and is halfway decent is going to use Jack Flaherty with the Tigers. Really good question from one of our listeners. They approached us yesterday with this. We didn't get to it, but we will get to it today. It's a mindset of how you build teams. We'll get to that and a whole lot more. Ansar Khan joins us 8:35. What's going on with the Red Wings? Where are they at with Dylan Larkin? Where are they at with the general manager? How has it gotten to be this bad? He will talk to us about the Red Wings soap opera at 8:35 here on a Wednesday edition of X's and Bros, and we're brought to you this hour by Meijer.
Put your faves on repeat with new Meijer Subscribe. It's easy to add subscriptions with your Meijer home delivery or pickup order. From fridge and pantry to pets and paper towels, big, small, or in between. Subscribe to Purina, Pampers, and all your favorite brands. We'll shop as often as you like when you like. Just press set up a subscription while shopping and choose a frequency. We'll take care of the rest. New Meijer Subscribe keeps you supplied with what you need when you need it. Download the Meijer app to start a subscription with your home delivery or pickup order today.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun. But roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
knew before I got here. We've had a great offensive line the past few years, and the standards. We communicated good. It's just those first day pad jitters that you got to knock the rust off and get back to speed. But it was good. Communicated good, and we'll just keep getting better from here.
How long is it?
The Lions' new center. This is ticky-tack. I don't want to sound like, the verbal police here. Again, the word great. They've had great offensive. They weren't great last year. That's the reason they went out and got you, dude. I mean, they weren't great last year. I hope they're great this year. I really do. I mean, Blake Miller, according to reports, messed up big time yesterday. Allowed Aiden Hutchinson to go unblocked, path to the quarterback. Those are bound to happen, but it can't happen in a game. You don't want guys coming off the edge. When Micah Parsons come back, you can't blow that assignment. You can't. Week 1, if Cam Jordan comes unabated to the quarterback, you got problems. And your ass is probably going to be on the bench, and rightfully so. Jared Goff's too important. But let's hope that offensive line is as good as we think it can be.
Right? And Cade Mays is going to be a huge part of that, for sure.
Massive part of it, without question. Well, we all know who the best offensive lineman is. Penei Sewell. He's the best offensive lineman in the league, although he comes in at number 37 in that top 100 players poll, which is a little odd to me. But
no respect for the offensive line right there, so that sounds like to me.
Yeah, I mean, we just overlook them all the time. I shouldn't say we, because I think you and I both greatly respect offensive linemen. And
if you like the Lions' success over the last few years, you definitely like. I mean, you could appreciate the difference from last year's offensive line to the years before that.
I sure as hell hope so, Andy. I mean, if you can't figure out the difference between when this team was really good and when this team was really bad, that it's the offensive line, I don't know what you're thinking. Speaking of that, and you can join us in the chat as we stream live on YouTube, X, and on Facebook. Call us on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Text us, Sports Radio 21,000. We're throughout the state, wherever it is you may be listening. Cadillac or Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Holland, Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, Lansing, a little bit later on. Somebody had this. He said, here's my question for you. Would you rather have, now, Andy, I don't know if you'll remember these guys. As a matter of fact, I know you won't. But Anthony Munoz, John Hanna, who's an offensive lineman for the New England Patriots, Dwight Stevenson, center for the Miami Dolphins, Will Shields, guard Kansas City, Orlando Pace, that offensive line, with no Pro Bowlers at wide receiver, running back, tight end, quarterback, or, all right, so you got no Pro Bowlers at the quote-unquote skill positions. Okay? You got it? But across the offensive line, you have Hall of Famers. Okay? Okay. Or would you rather have Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Tom Brady, Tony Gonzalez, and no Pro Bowlers on the offensive line?
That's
what would you rather have?
I guess no Pro Bowlers, maybe across the offense. I don't know. That's a tough one for me.
Okay. So mine would be the first. I would rather have all the offensive linemen. I think they're going to make the quarterback better. I think they're going to make the wide receivers better. I think they're going to make the running backs better. That's me, especially those guys. So let me ask you this. And I'm not trying to be a pain in the ass here. So please.
No, I'm trying. I'm honestly just having a hard time deciding on this one.
If I said to you, could you win a Super Bowl with Jim Plunkett or Joe Flacco? Do you think you could?
You could because, well, it's been done. So,
right. Plunkett won 2. Flacco won 1. Was the MVP of one of them. Neither one of them were Pro Bowlers. Could you do it with LeGarrette Blount as a running back?
Yeah. Patriots prove that.
He's rushed over 1,000 yards and has got 3 Super Bowl rings. So you could probably do that. Could you do it with Brandon Jacobs for the Giants? Sure you could.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. When you mentioned that LeGarrette Blount, it's like I'm starting to think about all the players on the Patriots, those teams with Tom Brady that like you probably never heard of, on some of them that have all those Super Bowl rings. It's pretty crazy to think about.
Do you think you could? Do you think Reggie Bush would be good enough to start behind that unbelievable offensive line?
I would say so. Yeah,
never made a Pro Bowl. And if I've got, if I'm looking for wide receivers, could you have an Amani Toomer?
Yeah.
A Jeremy Maclin? An Eric Decker?
Yeah, for sure. You definitely could. Eric Decker for sure.
Yeah, I mean you've got some Robert Woods. Woods never made a Pro Bowl. You could do that. Now the quarterback's a little dicey. I get it. I'm just using two examples, and it's probably very convenient for me to do that. All right. You could get the wide receivers, the Brandon Cookses of the world, the Marquise Colstons of the world, right? The Joey Galloway, who now stars on TV. You could get Darren McFadden as a running back. Those guys never made Pro Bowls. But you could win with guys like that, could you not?
Yeah, it's been proven. So
okay, so it's been proven. The quarterback might be a little different. I understand that, but in order for you to be super successful on offense, personally, I would want all those Hall of Fame offensive linemen. Now, would I need all of them? I mean, I would trade out one for Tom Brady, because Tom Brady's he's gonna flat out make you win, right? Who that would be, I don't know. Could you play, Cade Mays? Let's just use a local guy at center instead of Dwight Stevenson, knowing that you've got two Hall of Fame guards, Will Shields, John
that makes
Hanna,
it a lot easier.
and two
on the
Hall
rest
of Fame
the line.
tackles.
No question
Absolutely.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you could do Orlando Pace and Anthony Munoz. No one's getting to Tom Brady in that regard. But no one's getting to Joe Flacco either.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah.
Okay. So it was a very interesting question. I love Barry Sanders. I think Jerry Rice is one of the best players of all time. I think Randy Moss was super gifted. I wasn't a fan, but he was super gifted.
Just those names that makes it so hard to pick between the two for me. But yeah,
it does. But that's because the offensive skill names. You aren't familiar with the offensive line.
I didn't watch those offensive linemen, so that's not. I've at least seen highlights of those players that you're speaking of right now.
Okay, fair enough. And you weren't. Look, with all due respect, you're probably not watching Dwight Stevenson. Anyway.
No, yeah, it's not with the Lions, I watch their offensive line pretty close, right? I mean, you have to if you watch them on a regular basis. I feel like as a fan, but other teams, it's hard to just pay attention to. It's not the main thing you're watching when you're watching. I don't know, Sunday Night Football. I feel like.
Agreed. Right, but just to put it in perspective, Anthony Munoz was a 9-time first-team All-Pro. That's how great he was. He was the first team All-Pro, not a Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro 9 times. Randy Moss, for as great as he was 4. Dwight Stevenson, as a center, was a 5-time first team All-Pro. That tells you something, don't you think? Orlando Pace was one of the best offensive tackles in the history of the sport. He was a 7-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time All-Pro. It's not like these guys are, mashed potatoes on the outside. So I think it's a really interesting question and one that I had to ask you as well, because I would take the offensive line. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm right. I'm just telling you my belief. If somebody wanted the other way around and you could fill in the blanks with not necessarily Hall of Fame linemen, but you had really good players. Frank Ragnow. Okay.
Right. Like you could get away with that. That's the other thing too. I think.
Sure, you could.
It depends on the names you put in there, but
yeah, because Frank Ragnow's a hell of a center. Not a Hall of Fame center, but he's a hell of a center, right? Taylor Decker is a decent left tackle. Does that mean that automatically you're going to lose because you got those guys in there? Hell no, it doesn't mean you're automatically going to lose. There's a lot of guys right now that you would take who maybe are not viewed as, the greatest player at his position of all times. And I would tell you this, if I had Quentin Nelson as a guard, I'd have no problem with opting him in and telling Will Shields to, sit this one out. Because Quentin Nelson's a hell of a player. But that was from a listener, and I thought it was a really interesting question. Speaking of football, I noticed yesterday, we get this all the time with the different websites, the Bleacher Report came out with their top tight ends. And it's, you and I both know, I think it's a position that it has been underrated. It's getting more and more of its just due now, thankfully. A lot of it is because of the personalities of George Kittle and Travis Kelce. Not that they're not great players, because they are. Both of them are Hall of Fame players, okay? They're really good players. I'm just saying that promotes the position a little bit more. It's something I've kind of always mentioned regarding the sport of hockey. If you got to know a lot of these guys better, you would gravitate toward them more because of who they are. And I think with George Kittle and his personality and doing various things outside of football has really made him more likable. Travis Kelce, with his podcast with his brother, has probably done the same thing. I'm sure it helps that he's now married to the richest woman in the world in, what the hell's her name? I can't stand her. Come on. What is it? Who's Travis Kelce married to again?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Thank you. Taylor Swift. That'd be a better question for my daughter. So everybody loves that, the quote-unquote power couple. So I get that. But I think them being out there, willing to put themselves out there, has brought more attention to the position. Bleacher Report ranked Brock Wright as the 74th best tight end. And I thought to myself, I'm glad they know who he is. Where is Sam Laporta?
Number 5, I was going to guess.
Okay, so your guess is 5?
Tight ends, right?
Yeah, even though he was hurt last year?
5-6 right there,
yeah.
I think.
You have to go down a little bit further than that.
Okay, because of the injury? Is that their reasoning?
I assume that's the reason for it. Number 1 is George Kittle. Number 2 is Trey McBride. Number 3 is Tucker Kraft, which immediately begs the question, wait a minute. If Sam Laporta was hurt last year, and he was, Sam Laporta last season, because of the back injury, only played 9 games. All right? When healthy, I think he's a top 5 tight end. I'm not taking anything away from Tucker Kraft. He played only 8 games last year. If you're willing to rank Tucker Kraft in the top 3 with the injury, what do you think of Sam Laporta and the injury? Anyway, Brock Bowers is number 4. I think he should be higher. All right. Number 5 is Colston Loveland. After 1 year, and I think he's a hell of a player. I thought he was a really good player at Michigan. I thought he was the best tight end coming out. I thought he was one of the best offensive weapons coming out of the draft a year ago. And it was proven right. He is not your typical tight end. He's a pretty good blocker. He's as close to George Kittle, I think, as you can get. Anyway, they got him at 5. They've got Kyle Pitts at 6. David Njoku at 7. Tyler Warren, after 1 season, at 8. Travis Kelce, 9. Dallas Goedert at 10. Jake Ferguson from Dallas at 11. Are you wondering now? Are you starting to think, where the hell is our guy?
Bit. Yeah.
Hunter Henry of the Patriots at 12. And then Sam Laporta at 13. Just ahead of Darnell Washington, which is strange. And here's what they do. They rank each player on blocking out of 15, route running out of 20, ball skills out of 20, yards after catch ability out of 25, and football IQ, which is kind of interesting, at 16. Here's what they write about Laporta. Before suffering a herniated disc that required back surgery last season, Laporta was averaging more yards per route and yards after the catch than ever in his career. His average depth of target was down from 2 previous seasons, allowing him to showcase his burst and feel for making players miss after the catch. While contact through the route and man coverage gives him trouble, Laporta has a good route tree, and his hands were fantastic before his injury. He's an excellent receiving option, but leaves a lot to be desired as a blocker. The former second-round pick is much better at lining up blocks on the move than sustaining them in line. He's currently on track to start 2026, and Laporta will be a big part of the Lions' offense once again. So, knowing that, blocking, they give him 7 out of 15. That's where he gets killed. Route running, 17 out of 20. Ball skills, 17 out of 20, which to me is ridiculous. Do you remember the catch in the back of the end zone with one hand, left-handed? I know we can pick and choose. Don't give me – his hands are fantastic. I think it's better than 17 out of 20. Yards after catch ability, 21 out of 25. Pretty damn good. And football IQ, again, I don't know how the hell you measure that, at 16 out of 20. So, to me, it's a little – like Travis Kelce's viewed as this football IQ, 19 out of 20. Yak ability, 22 out of 25. He's better than Sam Laporta in yards after the catch? I find that hard to believe. He's a worse blocker, but they give him higher marks in yak ability and football IQ. And my guess is just about every single player who's going to be the top 5 in any single position, the football IQ is off the chain. And that's kind of what they do with George Kittle, in case you were wondering. His football IQ, they have 19 out of 20. His blocking ability, and this is why I used to have this argument with a friend of mine who played in the NFL at that position. We had the debate between Kittle and Kelce. And I said, I like Kittle because of his blocking ability. He's a better blocker than Travis Kelce. George Kittle, while Kelce gets a lot of love because of the rings, okay, and he was a big part of it with Kansas City. This is not hating on Travis Kelce and his wife Taylor Swift, even though I'm not a big fan. What he is he's a playmaker. There's no doubt about it. George Kittle is the better tight end of his era. I truly believe that.
If he was on the field more, I think that would prove itself, to be honest. The injuries have always been the thing with him. I think he's had to miss a lot of games, it feels like, which is unfortunate because it does seem like I agree with you in that argument.
You think he's better?
I think he's the better tight end, yeah.
Yeah. And I hear what you're saying. There's only one season where he's missed a lot of time, believe it or not.
Yeah, it just feels like he's been out.
Yeah, so for example, last year he played 11 games. But the year before, 15, 16, 15, 14, 14, 16, 15.
Fair enough.
One season, 2020, he only played 8 games because of an injury. So last year, was he nicked up? Yes. Not to be a smartass, but in football, there's a lot of guys that get nicked up.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so you're bound to happen. I don't think he's missed that many games. He's played 124 games, and, you're talking about missing a total of somewhere in the neighborhood of about, 15 games in your career, in a 9-year career. I don't think that's all that bad. Ansar Khan is going to join us. He's not bad at all. He's really good. He's going to join us at 8:35 here on X's and Bros on a Wednesday morning. We're brought to you by Meijer.
Do you have old retirement accounts still at former employers that could use some attention? Do you have accounts that the only time you hear from the advisor is when you call them? It might be time to take stock of your retirement and stop settling for less than you deserve. Having retirement accounts doesn't equal having a retirement plan. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Stop procrastinating and let's coordinate your retirement accounts and make sure you have a plan for success in retirement. At Mitch Lyons Wealth, we help people make sense of all the moving parts of retirement: taxes, income, risk, Social Security, healthcare, and legacy. It all works together, so let's make sure all parts of your plan are working together and not fighting themselves. Let's create a retirement of steel. Contact us today to schedule a brief chat to talk about your situation. If it makes sense, we can talk further. If you're good as is, we'll let you know that too. Go to MitchLyonsWealth.com or text PLAN to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. Investment advisory services are offered by MLW Advisory Services, a state-registered investment advisor.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's Top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Her worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
The big shows are at Soaring Eagle. Eric Church. Friday, August 14th with special guest Ashley McBride. The Free the Machine Tour, part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series. Tickets start at $87 and are on sale now at the box office at etix.com. Drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke. The party starts with Eric Church plus Ashley McBride. August 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the Huge Show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
do a lot of things. You know, he doesn't have to just go to one pitch. You know, obviously the word's out on him that they got to deal with the cutter a little bit, and you could see them in some innings they were super aggressive, other innings they were a little bit patient, and he pitched ahead. So you know, when you got different ways to get guys out, that's how you stay in the game, you know, into the seventh and beyond. So I think he's got to continue to learn how to use his stuff, and he's got a lot to choose from.
That's A.J. Hinch talking about Troy Melton. Learn how to use his stuff. If he hasn't learned it by now, he's having a hard time showing it.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Crap, man. Yeah, seriously. I mean, Emerson Hancock, he beat Emerson Hancock, he was a good pitcher at Georgia. I know, that's geeky. I watched him a lot because I used to love watching college baseball. Of course, when I was doing Tigers, I was immersed in the baseball world. That's what it is. You get lost in it, all right? It's the same way in hockey. If you're calling hockey, it should be hockey 24/7. There's too many players for you to keep track of if you're just picking it up when baseball season begins. I remember season was over. I'd give myself an exhale through Thanksgiving. December 1st, diving right back into it. But during the season, it's nonstop. It's all college baseball and Major League Baseball. Every night, that's what I was doing. Emerson Hancock was a good player. All right? Now, he's been okay this year for Seattle. 3.3 ERA, even though his record is underwater. Troy Melton just figured it out. Well, 1.58 ERA, man. He threw 97 pitches in 7 innings. 3 hits. Shut out Seattle in a 8-0 win. He struck out 4. I don't care about the strikeouts. I really don't. I care about how you get outs. You're trying to tell me you'd rather have a strikeout than a soft ground ball to second base?
No, he's clearly got the stuff that's keeping people off balance right now. And I
want him to go longer, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, if he needs 97 pitches to go through 7, I'm okay with that, meaning he only gets 4 strikeouts.
Yeah,
you're not catching. I hate to tell you this. You ain't catching Nolan Ryan anyway.
Not right.
So what? Okay? Your ERA, your whip, and your wins will get you to all-star status and get you a big contract. I don't give a crap about, the strikeouts. Get me outs. Get me deep into games. Stay competitive. You'll be fine. He is a stud. Jackson Jobe is a stud. This team is going to be okay with at least those 2 guys at the top of the rotation. Will they have to add? You're damn right they will.
Yeah, because everything
those 2 guys
it still is the same thought through my head last night. I mean, I watched as long as I could before I had to go to sleep, but I think it was 4-0 at that point. It was getting towards the end of the 6th inning. I'm like, oh, you got 9 more outs you're gonna have to get here, and who's gonna get those for you? It's like it's bad when you think a 4-run lead isn't enough late in the game.
This is an underrated part of what A.J. Hinch did last night. He brought in Yilmer Diaz.
Yep, he mentioned it, I think, at one point last night during his press conference.
And he threw 30 pitches, and he's supposed to start today. It would just be an opener, okay, because he's only made 4 starts in his career, so whatever. So you just need him to get through the first inning, all right? He had 4 walks and 4 hits in the inning. That's a problem. He's not long for this. When Jackson Jobe is activated, that guy, he's gone. Guaranteed, okay? Drew Anderson's back. Good. I don't know the whole reason behind that guy, okay? But there should be it should concern us that that's the pick.
I think so, too. I was stunned when I saw that name. But
anyway, using him in that situation is perfect, okay, because he hasn't pitched with the Tigers before. Catchers don't know him, all these other things. Get him into the game as quickly as possible. That's something he's always done. I don't care who he's bringing up from the minor leagues. I don't care if it's Christian Stewart or if it's Max Clark. Put him in the first game, okay? Get him acclimated. It's good stuff. It really is. Let's get to some texts.
And our reaction to Christian Stewart, that's something.
Yeah, I know. I say this all the time. There's somebody in the Tigers organization who went down to SEC country because he played at Tennessee.
Sure.
The SEC, a lot. Watched him play against the best competition in America because the SEC is really strong. Oregon State was really good. The Big 12 at the time was really good. You got Okie State. Wichita State was really good, right? But other schools from the Big 12 were good. The SEC was the king. LSU, Florida, Georgia, all those things, right? He goes to Tennessee. You're watching him play. Somebody goes, yeah, that guy with his arm and his lack of speed is a first-round pick. Who in their right mind thought that? I don't know. Anyway, here's the Mitch Lanswell poll question. Finish the statement. I'm rooting for Tarek Skubal in L.A., Casey Mize in San Diego, both or neither. Vote as often as you want at XP Mornings. Andy has tweeted it out. I have retweeted it. We'll give you the results tomorrow. Let's get to some texts. You can text us, Sports Radio 21000. I apologize for taking so long to get to those texts. You deserve to have them read as soon as we know. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. Andy was able to retrieve and now can deliver. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. We got a few of them, so thank you guys for sending them in. I don't necessarily says hope Scooby gets the woobies, Mize as well. I'm thinking that's when we were talking about if they're gonna get cheered for or booed for when they pitch at Comerica, and I'm hoping that means like cheering for them. But that was just one of the texts we got. I think that's good.
Why would you not cheer for them?
I don't know. I don't get why you wouldn't. It doesn't make any sense.
I can understand why people don't cheer for Dylan Larkin. I can actually understand why people don't cheer for Matthew Stafford. When you feel betrayed because those guys asked to get out, I understand it. Tarek Skubal didn't ask to get out. Casey Mize didn't ask to get traded. Why would you cheer against them? I'm a little confused at that. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Another one we got here is Detroit has lots of money coming off the books after this year. Are they seeing what happens with the CBA to make decisions on acquiring free agent pitchers?
I would say yes. You should be. That would be doing your due diligence. How many other teams are going to do that? And if that were the case, and you don't think many of these pitchers are going to get those exorbitant contracts, why would you hold on to Casey Mize? Maybe the package for Casey Mize was too tempting. I don't know. But yeah, I think the Tigers feel like they're in pretty good shape with some of their younger starting pitching, specifically Job, obviously Melton, Montero. We'll see what River Ryan looks like in September when he comes back from some hamstring problems. We'll see eventually maybe Ty Madden gets more of a shot down the stretch. Who knows? They were trying to build up. We've said this, so we can't be hypocritical. In the past, they were looking for position players because they built so much on pitching. They got the position players. Now they've been elevated, a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. You're looking for pitchers in the system. You don't see that many. So they're trying to replenish their system, and they have done that. It's just going to take a few years for some of those Brady Smiths to mature, if you will. So, yes, I think they're going to have to get some of those free agent pitchers, but I don't think a CBA, a CBA is going to change some things, but there are certain guys they're only going to make so much. You know that. They know that. Those are guys they'll probably target for the back end of their rotation. Next text.
I've been confirmed that woobies are wins, so he wants them both to get
good.
wins,
Good. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, last one I got here, the trades the Dodgers are able to accomplish are fine because they have the resources. The deferred money rubs me the wrong way.
Me too.
I think I read the Dodgers have $1 billion of deferred salary that seems like a bit much, and the MLB may need to put a cap on the deferred money. You can do the other argument to have a solid offensive line. Oh, that might be another text from later on, actually. But yeah, that's what he's saying about the Dodgers. So.
Yeah, but 100%. I get that. Why are players willing to do it? It's $1.1 billion, to be honest with you. Okay, deferred payroll. It's wild. It really does. But that's what they have, $1.1 billion. All right. So I'm with you on that. How come it's not costing them a ransom to do this stuff? They're still playing by the rules. Under the current CBA, they're still playing by the rules. I don't like it. You don't like it either. I get it. Okay. When you've got a crop of players and their sum is $1.1 billion deferred, why are players willing to do that? They're willing to do that to play there and to win there, primarily. But I don't know if other teams would be able to do that or not. So I'm with you on that. It's a great point by you, and part of the reason why a lot of people don't like the Dodgers. I just asked, did a lot of people not like teams like the Red Wings when they were adding all that talent, a glutton of talent? Outside Detroit, they didn't like him. Here, we loved him. We're brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
in the den.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. Tigers president of baseball operations Scott Harris has said he expects newly acquired pitcher River Ryan to pitch for the Tigers in September. After acquiring the soon-to-be 28-year-old from the Dodgers in the Tarek Skubal trade last week, Ryan was optioned to AAA Toledo and placed on the injured list with a bad hamstring. When he's healthy, he could jump into the starting rotation or even add depth to the bullpen. Ryan has allowed just 1 home run in 8 starts at AAA Oklahoma City and boasts a 10.7 strikeout per 9 innings ratio. Pretty impressive. For perspective, Casey Mize averaged 9 strikeouts per 9 innings in his minor league career, and Ty Madden, the Tigers' former first-round pick in 2021, has a 6.6 strikeout per 9 in just 6 more innings at AAA.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
We go together. The Jonas Brothers. The greetings from your hometown encore. The Soaring Eagle Outdoor Concert Series. Special guests, boys like girls. Tickets for the Jonas Brothers start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Hang out with the Jonas Brothers and boys like girls August 5th at Soaring Eagle Casino. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Ansar Khan from MLive will join us 8:35. We'll talk about the Red Wings scenario. It's so different, man. It's so unique that Dylan Larkin, we found out early June, has to be traded. That's 2 months ago. Today's August 5th. I think it was June 5th, Andy. June 5th is when the news broke that he had requested a trade. So 2 months. Haven't been able to work anything out. July 15, sticks in my brain regarding Steve Yzerman being let go. So not quite a month, but still, why do you make that move without having a plan? Anyway, we'll talk with Ansar Khan about that. We'll get to the final results of our poll question and our daily wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort coming up. But first, another text. This one regarding something that, if you missed it earlier, really good question from a listener. And he said, would you rather have like Anthony Munoz, John Hanna, Dwight Stevenson, Will Shields, Orlando Pace as your offensive line with no Pro Bowlers at the quote-unquote skill positions? Or would you rather have Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Tom Brady, Tony Gonzalez, and no Pro Bowlers up front? How would you look at that? And I don't think he's suggesting that, well, at least up front, you'll still have Darnell Wright, who the Bears just gave 4 years, $116 million as an offensive lineman. The right tackle. He's the highest paid right tackle ever. You know, the Lions had that one day. There was a time where the Detroit Lions had the highest paid right tackle in history. Do you know who it was?
I don't.
Okay, I'll tell you here in a moment. First, let's get to the text. I want to make sure we get to the text appropriately.
I think what he was kind of getting at was like trying to make the argument, because obviously you were arguing for the offensive line. He said you can do the other argument to have a solid offensive line that aren't Pro Bowlers and have Pro Bowlers as skill players.
Yes, I agree with that. I think he's 100% right about that. That's why I brought up Frank Ragnow and Quentin Nelson and people like that. But it was just my opinion. You know, you can have your opinion. I respect it. I would, in a perfect world, what do you get? You get a mixture, right? You get a mixture of guys. You get some Pro Bowlers up front. You get some Pro Bowlers. That's why I said, like, Tom Brady behind Frank Ragnow, Quentin Nelson, stuff like that. Absolutely. Would you do that? I would. Anyway, here's the situation coming up at 8:35. Ansar Khan's going to join us, mlive.com. Excited for that. And I do believe that he's also tied in with Pistons as well. So we can get into that a little bit too. I would say this, as we talk football here for the final couple of minutes, there's a lot of really good news coming out of Allen Park. The good news is that Aleem McNeil and Tyleik Williams look really good. They look really good. And now it's early, okay? So it's not a huge deal yet. They are working against the ones, okay? They are working against number one offensive lineman. So to me, that's a really important aspect of judging somebody. So my hope is that we're going to see these guys carry that over and do what they're supposed to do. You wanted Tyleik Williams to take that next step, and you hope Aleem McNeil, coming back fully healthy, is going to do the same thing. When I brought up the right tackle, Darnell Wright, highest paid right tackle, at one point the Lions did have that. That was Rick Wagner back in 2019. Ricky Wagner.
That's news to me. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. I think he played his college ball at Wisconsin. And the reason I knew that is because, and I think they signed him in 2018 I think they signed him to a 2-year deal. I was calling Lions preseason, and I was blown away. He's the highest paid right tackle in history. So it's just a little nugget for you. You probably don't. You probably didn't know Ricky Wagner.
That's
did you?
no. I'm not going to lie
You're,
to you.
you're
I
young.
did not.
You're young enough to know who he is.
Yeah, that's just not like
yeah.
a name that I was ever familiar with.
Right. Came here from Baltimore.
He's the highest paid.
He was the highest paid right tackle.
Wow.
Played 3 years here. Came from Baltimore and then had 1 year after he left Detroit and he went to Green Bay. All right. There you go. There's your little nugget of information as we move forward. Let's get to the final results of our poll question from yesterday. We said, do you agree with the Tigers' trade deadline philosophy? Yes, no, or I'm not sure what their philosophy is. The smart-ass in me thinks the latter is going to win. And I still think that. I think there's a lot of people who are confused by
this
it. But go
blows
ahead.
me away. 56% said yes. They agree with their trade deadline philosophy. I have not been getting that from everybody, but 16% says no, and then 28% says not sure what it is, which is where, I also expected more of it to fall there as well. But
I don't think Huge would agree with that.
No, I don't think so. Not a chance. Not from what I've been doing this week.
Bill Simonson from 3 until 7. Love him like a brother, and I mean that. He is dead set that they should have kept Tarek Skubal. I respect it. I disagree with it, but I respect it. Okay? Moving forward now, though, what happens, and I'm not saying this is going to happen with Billy, but what happens with people who are entrenched in their belief, anytime Tarek Skubal does well, it's going to be, wow, could we have not used that? And anytime the Tigers struggle with a starter, it's going to be, where you guys didn't want Tarek Skubal. When what we've got to do is we've got to come to the realization that, okay, he's moved on, better situation for him, financially, a better situation for the Tigers. And if you want to be real about it, and maybe it's too early to tell this on August 5th, and I know you're happy that they've beaten the Athletics and they've beaten Seattle and they've won 4 in a row and they're 1.5 back in the wild card and only 4.5 back in the division, and it's a bad division and all these other things. Do you really think, even with him, do you really think they are better than Tampa, New York, Boston?
I don't think necessarily
Houston,
that they're. I don't think they're better. Do any of those teams scare me? No, not necessarily.
Do you think any of those teams are scared by the Tigers?
No, I don't think so. Even with those players, I don't think that they're scared that they couldn't win a series against them.
And perhaps they would be scared is probably the wrong word.
You don't want to see Skubal
overly
in the playoffs
respectful
for sure.
Yeah, you don't. Although Seattle and Cleveland didn't have a problem with it.
Yep, I understand. Trust me.
Okay.
That's why.
Dansby Swanson didn't have a problem with it. It was just a solo homer last night. My point is, they're not so intimidating. I suppose none of those teams are, that make you start shaking in your boots and saying, "There's no way we can win this series." Obviously, anytime you have a great player, you have a better chance at winning, especially when it comes to man v man sports. And that's what baseball is. I know it's a team sport, but it's pitcher versus hitter. And you're going to side with Skubal. I get all that. They're still in decent shape. That's all I'm telling you. Let me get to the final results of the poll. We got the final results. Let's do the Daily Wager. Daily Wager is brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sportsbook Ascend. Great place to grab a bite, a cold drink, watch some sports with some friends. If you're going to be there late, you got the Tigers and the Mariners tonight. You've got Casey Mize making his debut as well. Casey Mize will be in a San Diego uniform. That's going to be really strange. But he is scheduled to debut tonight for the Padres, and he's going to be at Arizona against Eduardo Rodriguez. Eduardo Rodriguez pitched last night. Who's pitching tonight for Arizona? I forget. Mitch Bratt. Terrible name for a player or a pro athlete. Casey Mize debuts. That's going to be a little bit later. That game starts at the same time as the Tigers and Mariners start. All right. Well, what's the Daily Wager? How'd you do last night, and what do you got for us tonight?
It's a lot in a row here. We're back on a
3
roll.
in a row.
Yeah. The Red Sox definitely backed me up on my -1.5. They won by 12 last night, 14-2.
Kick the crap out of
So
them.
I just had a good feeling about that with the pitching matchups. That's why we took that one. Tonight I'm going Kevin McGonigal, 2 bases. He hasn't got a hit in his last couple of games. I feel like he's due for one, just simply going off of feel. And Wu is who they're hitting or who's pitching against them tonight for Seattle. He's been friendly to contact his last few starts. So I could see Kevin McGonigal getting 2 bases tonight.
I like the scouting report. That's good. That's really good stuff. Yeah.
We're thinking out here.
Yeah. You're putting a lot of mind into it. I love that. All right. So good stuff.
It's funny because they actually turn out and make sense when I don't put money on them or something. But if I do put money on them, they wouldn't hit. So I'm nice to the people that listen out there and actually tail it. So that way they're going to get something out of it.
The Red Sox, you hit on the daily wager. The Red Sox were hitting. They had 4 homers last night. Did you see that?
They did.
They had 4 homers. They've won 24 of their last 27 games. They had 15 hits overall. When we come back, Ansar Khan joins us to talk Red Wings and more on X's and Bros, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Huge here for all the ABC warehouse locations in Michigan. Now, if you're looking for the best prices on TVs, furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more, you need to go to abcwarehouse.com. You can shop there and also shop in person at all ABC warehouse locations across Michigan. For the one close to you, go to abcwarehouse.com. Best deals on TVs, appliances, furniture, and mattresses at all ABC warehouse locations in Michigan.
The good life isn't about more. It's about making what you have work better. You work hard for your money, so you shouldn't have to work hard to save it. At Meijer, you'll find all the good stuff in one stop with guaranteed fresh produce and Meijer brand faves. Quality so good, we put our name on it. And with M-Perks, you earn rewards to save on what you actually buy. Trust it's worth bringing home and live a life you love. Good life quality at real low prices. Only at Meijer.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
found this out 2 days ago from Andy that Ansar Khan, our friend from MLive.com, is going to be on the program, and I was pretty pumped. You can follow him on Twitter at Ansar Khan MLive. Very diligent in his work. Always respected him, covering Red Wings and Pistons. He had to do double duty down there at LCA, and he joins us here on a Wednesday morning. Ansar, appreciate it. How are you, my friend? How are you and the family? Good?
Good. Yeah, Matt. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I appreciate it. Who's this team's number one center without Dylan Larkin?
Good question. If they had to start the season, nothing changed right now, it would be Andrew Kopp. From limited options, obviously. Even with Dylan Larkin, it seems like it's been years they've been searching for a number two center.
Yeah.
Now they don't have a number one or number two, really. But yeah, Andrew Kopp would start the season as number one, followed by JT Compher, Marco Kasper, Michael Rasmussen. It's a thin position.
Emmett Finney. Wow, it just keeps you shaking your head. How did you get to this spot? I mean, how have the Red Wings gotten to where they are right now? What the hell happened?
Yeah, that's hard to say, except that obviously, 7 years ago when Steve Yzerman arrived, the expectations were so enormous. I mean, it was what most Red Wings fans dreamed about. After his run a very successful run in Tampa Bay, helping, set that organization up for a couple of championships. Everybody knew it was going to take some time. Nobody could have imagined how it's gone. Just the complete, just the lack of success, and not only that, it just, even had this whole Larkin situation not unfolded, there just wasn't really that light at the end of the tunnel for next season. While you look at other teams in their division and in their conference that have improved significantly, they've taken strides. Teams like Buffalo last year making the playoffs after missing for 14 years. Montreal's on the rise. Florida's going to bounce back after an injury-plagued season. Tampa Bay always seems to find a way to get star players and maintain its status. Boston somehow manages to hang around and make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Toronto's got they got the number one pick this year. They're probably going to bounce back after missing the playoffs. It's just a tough division, and it seems like everybody's passing the Red Wings by. Why that is? Lots of reasons. I think, the drafting, aside from the first round, is in Yzerman's first few years has been very good with guys like Seider and Raymond and Edvinson. Mm-hmm. After that, the drafting is just hasn't been there. They haven't found really anybody of note beyond the first round. The free agent signings, most of them haven't panned out. His reluctance to, I don't know if it's a reluctance or just that the opportunity hasn't been there to make that big trade and acquire a star player when he had it this past season with Quinn Hughes. He was reluctant to acquire a player who wouldn't commit beyond the 2 years that he had left on his contract. So really a whole bunch of reasons.
You have covered, correct me if I'm wrong here, I thought you were the longest tenured Red Wings beat writer. I think you've covered him for 26 years, haven't you, for MLive? 26? Is that about right?
Yeah. 26 years for MLive, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's an incredible run. So, first of all, congratulations. You and I used to be in that Red Wing locker room. You've covered Steve Yzerman as a player, as a general manager. How surprised were you that it didn't work out? And what was the biggest issue you think he had running the organization?
Yeah, no, I'm very surprised. I thought, I didn't necessarily foresee championships in the future when they hired him, but I certainly thought that they would be a very competitive team, a perennial, eventually, after rebuilding for a few years, eventually a perennial playoff team. And to be this far removed from the playoffs and to be riding a 10-year playoff drought is shocking, really. As far as what went wrong, again, I think the drafting and the inability. I think one of the main problems with this team has been its inability to get a real star player. Now, their best player, their best two players, really. I mean, you look at Dylan Larkin and Moritz Seider. Seider, the excellent defenseman, he finished fifth in Norris Trophy voting this past season, but certainly not. You can argue whether he's among the top five defensemen in the league. Dylan Larkin, I think for several years, a lot of people kind of looked at him as he's been the number one center here for quite some time, but a lot of people looked at him as a guy that would probably be the number two center on a championship caliber team. So I think that's been their main problem is inability to get that elite player.
Yeah, and that's stunning to me. Not because it's an original six team. I don't know how much it matters to young guys anymore, but just because I think really good players want to play with other really good players. Tell me if you think this is wrong. I think the final straw for Dylan Larkin, I don't like the way he's handled it at all, and I don't think you do either. But I think the final straw was he wanted Quinn Hughes here. Not because he played at Michigan and not because he's a buddy, but because he's a winning player. He's a really high-end, arguably top three defenseman in the world. And the Red Wings had a shot at doing it, and they didn't do it. Quinn Hughes coming here would have brought additional good players here. How far off do you think I could be from that? I think that was the final straw for Dylan Larkin.
No, I think you could be very well. That could be accurate. That could be the final straw. But I also think that this thing's been brewing for a few years now, and I think his personality clash with Yzerman had a lot to do with it too, as well as maybe his lack of faith in the direction of the team. But yeah, certainly I think had they been able to pull off the Quinn Hughes trade, I don't know if they would have made the playoffs or been in any better situation, because they certainly would have lost Simon Edvinsson. They probably would have lost their first round pick and not been able to pick up Justin Falk. In return, they'd have an elite. Another elite top pair defenseman to pair with Seider, but certainly that there'd be more of maybe a bit more of a positive outlook going further, knowing that you had that guy, especially if you could re-sign him. And like you said, I think it would have maybe attracted other top players.
Where does this franchise go from here? I mean, it will be, look, there's no way Dylan Larkin can wear the C, but if maybe a new general manager has a different philosophy than Steve Yzerman, but if you go to training camp and you're covering Dylan Larkin still in that room, it's going to be uncomfortable. And that's the way it goes sometimes. There's been plenty of times where you've gone in rooms, whether it be hockey or other rooms, where it's a little unnervy, right? Where does this team go from here? What do you think fans could expect if and when a new general manager finally takes root?
I think obviously the new general manager's first order of business is straightening out this Larkin situation one way or the other. If I'm the Red Wings, if I'm the new general manager, I really, you have to do everything you can to convince him to stay. Number one centers, say what you will about Larkin, whether you think he's a number two center or whatever he is, they're hard to find. Offense is hard to find, and that's a lot of it going out the door with the guy who consistently gets you 30 goals and 70 points.
At an affordable price.
That's the other thing. 5 years left on his contract. And that's something that Yzerman alluded to during his one brief comment about this whole situation during the draft. He goes, he's got 5 years left on his contract. And you just don't settle for something in return. You don't just give away players like that for whatever you can get. You absolutely have to get equal value, or what you think is equal value, a good return. You see the way salaries are just skyrocketing in the NHL. And his cap hit is $8.7 million, but it was a front-loaded contract. They actually owe him about $7.7 million over the next 5 years.
Right.
You're not going to replace the offense that he gave you for that kind of money, and and I don't think the new general manager is going to have the stomach for extending this rebuild several years by accepting draft picks and prospects.
Agreed. And you bring up a really interesting point, because I've said this for a long time. Everybody says he's not a number one center. He may not be a number one center on a Stanley Cup team, but with today's NHL, he's a number one center. He's probably 15, 16, somewhere around there in the league.
Yeah.
He was tied for 12th amongst centers last year in goals with 34. Leon Draisaitl played fewer games, but only had one more. You can't compare the two, but I think you understand my point. General manager standpoint, people have brought up Ryan Martin and other names. You and I both know Ryan Martin. He was a good guy here in Detroit. I don't know what kind of general manager he would make with the Red Wings. Do you have an idea of a name or two that you think would be a good fit? Would you rather see them go outside the organization or promote from within?
My guess is that they're focused on going, looking outside the organization. I think that we could see kind of a different structure where they bring in a kind of like the Tigers. I think they, Chris Ilitch, I think he likes the way the Tigers are run. And I could see the Red Wings hiring a president of hockey operations, and then a general manager to handle, the president kind of overseeing everything, and the general manager maybe doing the kind of the day-to-day work. And I'm fairly certain that the new GM will be an analytics-driven guy. I think they're going to they are a little bit into the analytics now, but not fully. Yzerman certainly wasn't, an analytics guy. He was an old-school hockey guy that relied more on the eye test. I think Chris Ilitch is focused on the next GM being more analytics-driven. And a lot of teams are doing that these days. I could see that happening. There's a few names out there. Somebody like Sam Ventura in Buffalo, Tyler Dello, Carolina, Scott White, Jim Neal's right-hand man in Dallas. a few names out there. But the other thing too is I just question also. I mean, we're in August now,
I know.
and teams are pretty much set with their rosters. They're kind of set with their front offices. I wonder, is it too late to really hire a GM right now? I don't know. One of the things that I was talking to somebody recently, I said, well, why not just have Sean Horkoff step into that role on an interim basis for a year, and then see who becomes available, right after the season when you might have more options. The whole timing of this Yzerman thing makes absolutely no sense to me, or to anybody, I don't think. I mean, to make the move in mid-July after he ran the draft and did some free agent signings and a trade, it just the timing of it was stunning.
So bizarre.
It's like if you're going to do this, why not do it in April when there was 4 GM openings available in April, which got filled, when you would have had more options.
Yeah, I know I got to let you go here in about 30 seconds. What does that tell you? When an organization waits that long, what does it tell you? How do you read into that?
I that's the thing. I just don't know what to read into it. Like, I don't know if something happened, something changed for them to have Yzerman do all the work, basically do the heavy lifting in the off season. Because everything from what I understand, this was not Yzerman's decision. He's not one to just quit, on a random Wednesday in July. This was driven by the club, and to do it after he did all the work pretty much in the off season, just makes no sense. And it's something I just wondered what happened behind the scenes that led to this decision.
It's great stuff, Ansar. We really appreciate the time today. Keep up the great work on MLive. I'm glad we were able to catch up. It's always good to visit with you, my friend, and learn a little bit more about the Wings. We'll continue to do that as we follow you on Twitter at Ansar Khan MLive, and as we read your stuff on their website as well. Enjoy the rest of the week, bud.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, you bet. That's Ansar Khan of MLive. Really interesting stuff. If you missed any of that, we'll put it on our podcast because I'm in lockstep with him, man. I mean, it's just so bizarre.
Everyone's confused right now.
It tells you there was no plan. To me, that's what it is. You don't have a plan. I think anytime you're running a business, anytime you're running a team, anytime you're running a sports program, athletic program at college, you've got to have a list of guys you're ready to bring on in case something changes instantly. And doesn't sound like the Red Wings did. Our thanks to Ansar Khan. Thanks to you for your texts, for giving us an opportunity on a Wednesday morning. And, of course, to Andy McDonald. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. here on X's and Bros. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3.
We're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can